Wonderful, terrific Taco Tuesday. Now listen, it's a delicious day if you eat tacos or not, or if you had lunch, but let's have an after work, after school meal with a book. Yes, yummy reading is yummy eating. And I think we stopped on this page. Big Man Speaks. Yes, Big Man Speaks. Now we know that a couple families were evicted. That's why this is called evicted. They were taken away from their land as sharecroppers, and some people opened up their generosity and started looking out for one another, each other's families, and started, sharing food and space, and people started pitching tents as homes, and they had community. And for such a time as this, it is so important. You see, some of these kids, they didn't have proper clothes and shelter, but people who had means started sharing. And this is so important that we do this for one another. We don't know what the future holds, so that's why love one another. Big Man Speaks. The year was 1963 as John McFerrin searched for brave candidates to run in the Fayette County elections. Dr. King marched on Washington, D.C. to terminate Jim Crow laws and demand better schools, jobs, and housing for every American citizen. James Jr., with his sad-eyed smile, worked the counter at McFerrin's grocery in 1963. Each day after school, he furtively feasted on the political talk of the chatty customers while he bagged their groceries and replied with only a please come again or thank you very much. That the quiet teenager did not talk civil rights with Hartman, Minnie, or Mama Golden, but he perceived the changing times. The evidence was on TV. He saw black children march for equal rights in Birmingham. He saw dogs attack the children. He saw the children put in jail. And in 1964, he saw President Lyndon B. Johnson sign the Civil Rights Act to abolish segregation with Dr. King at his side. 50 white college kids from New York found their way to Fayette County in the summer of 1964, working with fiery League members like Square Mormon in his pork pie hat and Maggie Horton with her megaphone voice. Cornell University students trudged across cotton fields to encourage voting in the black community. With their help, the League also organized a campaign to elect Reverend June Dowdy, a black man, for tax assessor, and L.T. Redfern, a white man, for sheriff. Black Fayette County voters went to cast their ballots by the thousands on August 6, 1964. Official poll watchers saw white locals stuff the ballot boxes with countless illegal votes. The results? Preacher Dowdy and L.T. Redfern both suffered defeat, but the League moved forward. Their circle of allies grew, and more college activists descended on Fayette County in the spring of 1965. It was the month of May when University of Chicago students joined the League in mass demonstrations. They marched through downtown Somerville to denounce lingering evils of segregation in Fayette schools, restaurants, and the local movie theater. With the quiet manner and rail-thin frame, nobody invited James Jr. to march or carry a protest sign. One day, a fire in his feet lifted him from his old wooden desk and stack of tattered books. James Jr. left school and ran for downtown Somerville to join the League and college kids. He heard footsteps and singing before he reached the crowd. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Waking and walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. Singing and praying with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Gloom and grief took flight on wings. I don't know how you feel right now, but let grief and gloom fly away. As James Jr. marched and opened his mouth to sing. Woo! That reminds me of something I read on the way to school today. Talking about fear and talking about trust and hope. But it's something about when you sing, there's a promise where it says that those who are upright, make good choices, they don't rely on themselves, but they will be compassed about with songs of deliverance. It's something about singing that, not to speak, as far as, just it brings freedom, it brings happiness, it brings joy when you have a song in your heart, always in your belly. Just like the background music here, you will never walk alone. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark, because at the end of the storm is a golden sky or a golden sun and the sweet silver song of the lark, right? Of a bird. And there's peace. So that's what I'm saying. They sang and they were able to gain courage when they opened up their mouth to sing, hallelujah, hallelujah, singing and praying with my mind. Would he be punished by someone for skipping school? Whatever the price, he was willing to pay for it. You see how camaraderie, when you sing, it brings about bravery and courage. Golden, James Jr. remembered 1965 with a furious clarity. He recalled sitting on the couch beside Grandma Golden. Together, they watched the news as white state troopers in Selma brutalized nonviolent activists on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. John Lewis, a future U.S. congressman, led the change as 600 students, clergy, and church folk demanded unhindered voting rights for all American citizens. Junior and Golden winced at the bloody news footage. Click, click. Photojournalists like Flip Shoke and Bruce Davison put their lives in danger, too, on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. They captured portraits of terror with Nikon and Leica cameras. Black and white voices raged at the sight of helpless, beaten bodies. The blood that spilled in Selma awakened sleepy public opinions. Click, click. That's the camera sound. Photographs and newsreels needed no exposition. James Jr. and Golden exchanged no commentary. They were connected souls who shared a silent understanding. Selma was a growing seed, a sprawling voter movement, planted first in 1959 across the cotton fields of Fayette County. Finally, to serve Black America the unfettered freedom to vote, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. This law changed the face of local, state, and national elections as Black Americans voted in record numbers and won political seats. Great. 4 Black men and 2 Black women won Fayette County posts in 1966. They were voted to serve on the county board with 30 magistrates. The Black magistrates were disrespected for the full length of the term, while each one served with dignity and a golden crown of courage. That's what you're going to have to do, even when you go through and suffer. I was talking to my cousin recently, and she was just talking about how in so many positions, in your career, if you're choosing to do the right thing, you're going to have so much pushback or maybe so much hatred or negativity around you. Hey, it doesn't matter. You continue with dignity and courage. Hold your head up high. As he considered the changing seasons and spirit of the times, James Jr. asked himself, what is my contribution? He wanted to make a difference like Hartman and many. He wanted to, offer some great sacrifice like John and Viola. Jr. took actions without parental prodding. In the fall of 1966, he boarded a yellow school bus to interstate Fayette County High. He expected shiny desks and books served with loud, stinging threats. Change agents And change agents endure hardships, and Junior embraced the challenge. Do you embrace the tests and trials that you might be going through? Okay, parents or children. While students with racist views troubled him with menacing taunts, they assaulted him and his black classmates with pushing in the halls. Junior was pelted with pennies and nickels each day he rode the bus. He studied his books, passed his tests, and graduated in 1967. Click, click. James Jr. is a farmer now with grandbabies at his feet. He pulls pictures from a worn shoebox to recall the Fayette movement. His lambs ask constant questions about who, what, when, and why. And James Jr. speaks with authority. His memory is an open book. He says the past is the present and it is urgent. They understand every life is a battlefield and freedom is a golden prize. Let's get moving.